WOCA. Ocala. All right, almost 20 minutes after 10 o'clock. Looks like it's raining out there. Well, maybe it's not anymore. It was raining out there. Looks like it might rain some more. We need the rain anyway, don't we?
Yeah.
You know, I'm on social media. I'm a man of the 21st century, Rob. I'm on social media. Anyway, I noticed on Facebook yesterday, I had two different people. Now, the funny thing is about Facebook is some people are friends and some people are friends. You know, it's just there's a difference between a friend and a friend.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, so two of my friends on Facebook, one is a real friend and one is somebody I don't really know. But anyway, both of them said, please say prayers for, and they would name somebody and say that they just had a stroke. They just went to the hospital with a stroke. And you think, oh my gosh, you're hearing this a lot for some reason. Or maybe it's just because I have, so many friends on Facebook that I don't really know, but they post things about their families and their loved ones. We're going to talk about the prevention and treatment of stroke with Dr. Rabith Tawk. He's a neurosurgeon at the Mayo Clinic in Jacksonville. And if you have any questions about stroke, this is a good time to tune in and listen. Stroke, according to my notes, is the fifth cause of death. Fifth cause, Robin, in the United States. Dr. Rabith Tawk, good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing great. Thanks for doing this.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for doing this. Where are you? Are you in Jacksonville right now?
Yeah, so I'm one of the neurosurgeons, and I work at Mayo Clinic, Jacksonville campus.
So as a neurosurgeon, somebody comes in with a stroke. Do you perform surgery?
Sure. So my training was in surgery and plus a fellowship in endovascular where you go from inside the vessels and you try to fix things from inside with minimally invasive techniques. And stroke is one of the biggest and highest advances in the recent years in the way we changed how we do things, So definitely that's what we do, and we have a great team here at Mayo Clinic Jacksonville who does this very well.
Does it speed up the recovery time?
Absolutely. So if you look at stroke, there is two ways to think about it. One of them is the stroke already happened and you're in a damage control situation. So, for example, a vessel is blocked and you try to the area that is not receiving blood flow, sometimes it's kind of stunned, it's not working, but it's still alive. So you go there, you open the vessel, and you restore the blood flow, and that brain will function again. If you leave it blocked, it can die, and that's permanent damage. The second way you look at it is that a vessel is compromised, the brain is not getting enough blood flow, but the patient is okay, and that's how you talk about prevention, and you open the vessel before something happens.
Oh, okay. So when we talk about prevention, are we talking about lifestyle as well, or just the prevention immediately prior to a stroke?
Absolutely. So the way you look at this is, you see a storm coming. There are things you do before even it gets to the area, and then if it gets to the area, you kind of manage to survive the storm. So primary prevention is lifestyle modification, not being exposed to tobacco, reducing the blood pressure, eating healthy, exercising, maintaining your vessels in good health. Primary prevention.
Is stroke equal opportunity, or does one gender, are they afflicted with stroke more than another gender?
Absolutely. A lot of things that happen in medicine, they're predetermined on our genes. Some people are more prone to have strokes, in particular, for example, someone who has high blood pressure, someone who has high lipid in his body. Some people have a propensity to have dissections because their tissues are engineered in a weak fashion, and this is all genetically predetermined. So, and this is known, you kind of get a sense of it from family history. If you have someone what happened to the family and the rest of the family, and that's how people know they're prone to have this. And this is the role of primary prevention, because people who are predisposed to have this, they should definitely account to it. So if you're predisposed and you smoke, you see something is going to happen down the road in the future. So this is the role of primary prevention. On the other hand, the secondary prevention is if you have a stroke, you're still at risk of having a second one and a third one if you don't, account to what's the cause of stroke. As I look at it, I think about the system in our body as a pump. That's the heart. The pipes are the vessels, and the blood is the fluid that goes inside, and the end organ is the brain or the heart in heart attacks. But sometimes it's a problem with the pump and the heart, and that's the cause of the stroke. Sometimes a problem with the piping or the vessels or the conduits, and vessels get blocked and they don't let the blood go where it needs to go.
Really?
And sometimes the blood is very thick, and people have propensity to form blood clots, and that's what causes the stroke. So there is many layers into it.
The one thing that sometimes gets us on the right track, if we are on the wrong track with our lifestyles anyway, is to hear things like what you're saying. I'm guessing anybody who's smoking is thinking to themselves, I really got to quit this, after you hear what the doctor had to say. Are there other things that we should stop or change, maybe the types of food we eat?
Absolutely. There is several studies about the food, and it has shown that Mediterranean diet is much lower risk of having stroke. Your body has ability to get rid of some excess in your body, but some people cannot get rid of the excess of, the fat intake, for example, or the sodium intake. And if you cannot get rid of those substances, they build up in your body and they start forming. The high sodium lets the blood pressure goes up, and you have hypertension. High fat intake lets the fat build up, and then it's plaque in your vessels.
See, that's the part where I cringe, because I'm using salt way too much. I got to stop on the salt, huh? Mm-hmm. Salt?
Satisfaction from food, most of it comes from salty taste and fat that gives people satisfaction. But you have to turn your attention to enjoying a healthy food and a healthy lifestyle instead of enjoying a heavy meal. So change your satisfaction, with things you do outside.
If a person does all of that and they are living a healthy lifestyle, they're physically fit, they run every day, stuff like that, can they still have a stroke?
Definitely, yes, but their risk of having stroke is much lower than it would have without. So anybody has a certain outcome, and things are kind of, the genes play a role, but a lot of things happen. Like if you compare it to a car accident, if you drive safely, you're much less prone to have a car accident, but it doesn't mean that you're not going to have a car accident.
Right.
Someone behind is going to bump into your car and stuff. So, but I think we have to be responsible towards our health. We have to think actively about it instead of being very passive. You see what happens, and I think education and what you guys are doing in awareness is very important for people to know, because awareness is key.
Give us some ideas of things we could do. Let's say a loved one is having a stroke. I know you have some information about how we can tell they're having a stroke, but just let's get past that just for a second. Do we do anything? Do we give them an aspirin? Do we lay them down? Do we make them stand up? What do we do?
Sure. Stroke in a big sense can happen from two things. It's just a sudden attack to the brain, and you see people kind of not the same. So the acronym is FAST, F for the face, if the face droops when people smile. A for the arms, you ask them to raise their arms up and one arm goes down. And S for speech, and you ask them to speak and they're not the same. Then the T is for time to call 911, because that's the best way to handle it. You have professionals, EMS, they're distributed, in certain areas. They get home closest possible, and they know what to do. Monitor the blood pressure, protect the airways if someone is not breathing well, and they have their algorithm of things to do. And then they have instructions where to take patients. Stroke centers are divided into primary and comprehensive. And comprehensive, there is many layers into it, but there is certifications. But those centers that are capable to open the vessels are the best places to go. And they are comprehensive stroke centers.
Can a doctor give you a checkup and tell you that you are a candidate for a stroke, or is that something that you can't foresee?
Absolutely. So first, to make it simple, so when a patient comes to us with a stroke, we get a CAT scan, make sure it's not a bleed. it's a blockage of a vessel. Once we know the vessel is blocked, we assess at least to make sure that this brain is not completely dead. And then if it's not completely dead and it's a livable brain, we go inside the vessels all the way from the groin or from the arm. We get inside the neck vessels, inside the brain vessels, and we take the clot out. There is another medication that's clot busting medication if people arrive at centers that don't do the intervention, and it is a standard of care to give this through the IV. So you combine both of them, and that's how you get the best results.
Doctor, we were out of time, but give us a website so we can learn more.
Absolutely. Mayo Clinic, if people go to Mayo Clinic website, it has plenty of information. The other great resource is the American Heart Association.
Okay. Dr. Rabith G. Tawk, thank you for what you do and for taking time out of your busy day to be with us.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. We'll be right back.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lillian Wu. A day before fired FBI Director James Comey testifies on Capitol Hill, the president announcing on Twitter the man he'd like to replace Comey.
Christopher Wray's a former assistant